Hi everyone, my name is Liang and my metric number is A198339. And today we'll be talking about phrase structure rules and how we use tree diagram to represent sentence structure. This topic is a part of syntax unit and is one of the core tools for analyzing how language works under the surface. Syntax is what makes language more logical and structured, and it's rules behind the sentence formation. The rules tell us how to build up a sentence from piece to piece, from subject to predicate using different grammatical units. And today we're going to dive into how this system works and how we can visualize it using tree diagram.
I like to introduce the three foundational concepts in English grammar: syntax, sentence, and clause. So first, let's begin with syntax. So what is syntax? Syntax is a set of rules that tells us how to organize words and phrases to form meaningful and grammatically correct sentences. It's like the blueprint for building sentences. It determines word order, sentence structure, and how different parts of speech interact. So in English, word order is very important. For example, the cat sits on the mat. This sentence follows standard subject, verb, object, the structure. Sits the cat on mat. This doesn't make sense because this has all the same words but incorrect in syntax. The meaning becomes unclear or even lost. So syntax also explains why we say she's happy instead of happy she is, unless we are writing poetry or using a different language structure. So every language has its own syntactic rules. For example, Japanese typically follows a subject-object-verb order, while Arabic often uses verb, subject, object. So syntax is not universal, but it's always systematic. So what is sentence? A sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete idea or thought. It must contain at least a subject, someone or something doing something, and a predicate, which includes a verb or action. For example, she's reading a book. This is a complete sentence. It tells us who is doing what. I like pizza, short, but still complete. Subject and verb are both free. So sentences can be simple, compound, or complex, depending on how many ideas or clauses they contain, but the core rule remains a sentence must stand alone and make sense. Okay, so what is clause? So a clause is a smaller unit within a sentence. What's differently is that it also contains a subject and a verb, but it may not always express a complete thought. So there are two types. An independent clause can stand alone as a sentence. For example, he went home. A dependent clause cannot stand alone. For example, because he was tired, this leaves a listener wondering, what happened because he was tired?
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Novatin Fasya binti Lutfi. My matrix number is A201220. Now we continue our presentation. In our understanding how sentences are constructed in English, three elements components are essential. The first, the subject, the predicate, and the phrase structure rules. These elements form the backbone of sentence formation and grammar. First, the predicate, the subject. The subject of a sentence is typically the noun phrase that the sentence is about. It usually comes before the verbs and indicates who or what is performing the action or being described by. Next, the predicate. The predicate tells us something about the subject. It begins with a verb and may include other elements like objects, adjective, or prepositional phrase. Last but not least is the phrase structure rules. Phrase structure rules describe the way words combine to form sentence. They are part of linguistics called generative grammar, which explains how we generate sentence using rules. These rules use symbols to represent parts of speech, how they combine. There are three key phrase structure rules. First, a sentence consists of a subject and predicate. Second, the subject is typically a noun phrase, and last but not least, the predicate is usually a verb phrase. For example of phrase expansion, noun phrase. Noun phrase is a determine plus adjective plus noun. For example, the happy girl. The is the determiner, happy is the adjective, and girl is the noun. Second, verb phrase. Verb phrase is verb plus noun phrase plus prepositional phrase. For example, it's an apple in the kitchen. It's in the verb, it is the verbs, an apple is the noun phrase, and in the kitchen is the prepositional phrase.
I'll be giving a brief overview of how sentences are structured using concept from syntax, focusing on syntactic categories. The three types of syntactic categories would be phrasal, lexical, and functional. Let's start with lexical categories or content words. These are the main building blocks of meaning: noun, verbs, adjective, adverbs, and prepositions. Take this example. A determined artist painted quietly in the studio. Artist is a noun, painted is a verb, determined is an adjective, quietly is an adverb, in is a preposition. Each of these belongs to a different category working together to form a complete thought. Next, let's talk about phrasal categories. These are group of words that can act like one part of speech. The main types are noun phrase, which usually build around a noun, verb phrase, built around a verb and everything connected to an action. Prepositional phrase starts with a preposition and ends with a noun phrase. Adjective and adverb phrases build around adjective or adverbs, often with the modifiers. Here's a full sentence example. The extremely shy boy answered quite slowly during the interview. Noun phrase would be the extremely shy boy, while answered quite slowly during the interview known as a verb phrase. Inside the verb phrase, we also could find an adverb phrase which will be quite slowly. Prepositional phrase would be during the interview. Each phrase acts as a single unit centered around a head word. Finally, we have a functional categories. These don't carry meaning on their own but are crucial for grammar. They include determiners, modals, 10 markers, and complementizers. For example, in a sentence, the student arrived late. The act as a determiner. She will attend the meeting. Will act as a modal showing a future tense. Another example, I believe that she will win. That is a complementizer linking two clauses. These small words are the glue that holds sentences together. Now let's explore the symbols used in phrase structure rules. Let's start with the basic one, the arrow. Means is written as or consists of. So when you see the alphabet S, arrow, NP, it tells us that a sentence is made of noun phrase followed by a verb phrase. In phrase structure rules, when we see brackets, for example in NP becomes open bracket, determiners, close bracket, and it means the word inside the bracket is optional. Then there's a curly braces which shows a choice. If the rule is curly open curly braces NP, PP close curly braces, it means you can choose either a noun phrase or prepositional phrase. We use a triangle in tree diagrams to show a phrase or subtree that exists but isn't expanded. So instead of drawing out all the details of a noun phrase like the big dog, we just label it as NP and use a triangle to keep the tree tidy. We also have N, which stands for repetition, one or more times. So ADVL in brackets and N means you can have one adverbial or several, like quickly, in silence, or on next Monday. Next is S prime, written as S apostrophe. This symbol stands for embedded sentence, a full clause inside another sentence. Like in I know that she is smart. The part that she is smart is her embedded clause. Let me give a full example to bring it all together. The excited student quickly submitted the assignment in the morning. Here's how the PSR applies. S, arrow, NP, VP. The NP is the excited student, while the VP is quickly submitted the assignment in the morning. Arrow and includes two adverbials, quickly and in the morning, which match bracket ADVL N. By using these symbols, we can break down even complex sentences into simple logical parts, making syntax a lot easier to understand.
Hi everyone, my name is Melody Wong Xian Lee and my matrix number is A2019992. So today I'll be explaining what are phrase structures rules number 3 and 4. For phrase structure rules number 3, we can see that its subject being rewritten as a noun phrase. Simple as that. However, for phrase structure rule number 4, we can see that noun phrase can be rewritten as two different lines. So for the first line, we can see that it's determiner, adjective phrase, noun, plural, and prepositional phrase. And as you can notice, determiners, adjective phrase, plural, and prepositional phrase, these are all in brackets. So it means that all of these phrases, the determiners, the phrases, the plurals, they can be optional. You can have them in your noun or you cannot have them in your noun. Another thing that you should be reminded and conscious of is that you can have no determiners or you can have up to 3 different determiners for the first line. For our second line, it's only pronoun. So for this rule, you absolutely have to write it as a noun or pronoun. That's all from me, and we shall move on to our examples.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Noor Alianisa bint Rafi'i and my matrix number is 8202052. For the examples, I will be explaining how these tree diagrams are expanded according to phrase structure rule 3 and 4. For this, I will be using 5 examples: he, they, Sammy, idea, and friend. We all know that he is a pronoun, so to start drawing a tree diagram, we can start from the bottom all the way to the top. We can write he, followed by pronoun, followed by noun phrase, followed by subject. Altogether, the proper way to read this would be subject is expanded to noun phrase, is expanded to pronoun, is expanded to he. The same for they, which is also a pronoun. We can start with they at the bottom, followed by pro, followed by NP, followed by subject. As for Sammy, we know that it's a person's name, so it can't be a pronoun, but instead a noun. We can start by writing Sammy, followed by N, which is noun, followed by NP, followed by subject. Similarly, for idea and friend, which are also both nouns. But at this point, the tree diagrams are still very easy to draw. You can start from subject at the top. Subject is expanded to NP, is expanded to N, is expanded to idea. Just like subject is expanded to NP, is expanded to N, is expanded to friend. These tree diagrams can be considered complete, especially noun phrases only containing pronouns, because pronouns cannot be accompanied by any other words. Unlike nouns, although it can stand on its own, noun phrases containing nouns can still be accompanied by words that are determiners, adjective phrase, plural, and prepositional phrase. These examples will be given by my other group members.
Alright, let's see how phrase structure rules are used in the tree diagrams. The first example is this idea. We start with the subject at the top, which is expanded into a noun phrase. This noun phrase comprises a determiner, this, and a noun, idea. In the second example, oh my friends, we follow the same process. We begin with the subject, which also expands into a noun phrase. This noun phrase includes two determiners, all and my, followed by the noun, friend, and finally a plural marker.
Okay, let's look at this example. For example, in sentence, this great idea will change everything. The subject is a noun phrase. This great idea. Let's break it down. Determiner is this. Adjective phrase is great. Noun is idea. So the structure is subject, determiner, adjective phrase, noun. By learning this pattern, we can build more complex and descriptive noun phrases. Now let's focus on the subject structure. It follows the pattern subject, determiner, adjective phrase, noun. For this sentence, all is the determiner, my is the determiner, best is an adjective phrase, friends is the noun.
Hello everyone, I will be analyzing the structure of two complex noun phrases using syntactic trees to explain what modifies what and what terminates what. The first phrase is this one particular brilliantly innovative idea in the proposal. It's a noun phrase functioning as a subject and the head of the phrase is idea. Let's break it down. The words this, one, and the particular are determiners. They limit or specify which idea we are talking about. The phrase brilliantly innovative is an adjective phrase, modifying idea. Innovative is the main adjective. Brilliantly is an adverb that intensifies the adjective. Finally, the prepositional phrase in the proposal also modified idea, telling us where this idea appears or belongs. The second phrase is all my three very close friends from my college. This is a noun phrase acting as a subject with the head noun phrase. All my three are determiners. They define the quantity, ownership, and the scope of friend. Very close is an adjective phrase modifying friend. Close is the main adjective, and very is an adverb, then intensifies the closeness. The phrase from my college is a prepositional phrase modifying friends, telling us where they are from. The key point is determiners limit or defined noun. Adjective and prepositional phrase modifying the noun, acting description or extra information. By understanding what modifies and what determines, we can clearly interpret or construct complete English noun phrases.
Okay, let's sum up. Today we explore phrase structure rules, which act like a blueprint telling us how to build sentences from smaller parts, like subjects, predicates, noun phrases, verb phrases, and so on. We also learn about tree diagrams, which help us break down sentences visually. They are not just academic exercise. They help us see the structure of language and analyzing meaning, complexity, and grammaticality. In short, understanding syntax helps us understand how language works, and once we see the structure, we can analyze it, teach it, and even create it more effectively. That's all for us today. Thank you for listening.